290 people. They're doing backflips. Oh gosh, you got Yahoo doing backflips, ESPN doing backflips, Fox doing backflips, Front Office Sports doing backflips. All of them said, you know what? We've ignored Unrivaled all season long. Finally, they give us something good to talk about. And they all just publish it. Oh, 21,000, record breaking.
21,000 people packed into an arena in Philadelphia. Cameras flashing, media losing their minds, headlines everywhere saying the same thing. Record-breaking attendance, historic night, a massive win. And for a moment it looked like Unrivaled had finally arrived. After weeks of silence and being ignored, they finally had something to celebrate. But here's the question nobody wanted to ask that night. If this was such a huge moment, why wasn't anyone else watching? Because while that arena was full, almost nobody across America bothered to turn on their TV, and when the ratings finally dropped, they revealed a reality far more uncomfortable than any headline wanted to admit. This wasn't a breakout moment. This was a warning sign hiding behind a sold-out crowd. And the numbers tell that story loud and clear. Just 40,000 viewers per game in the key 18 to 49 demographic on that Friday night. Let that sink in. Those games ranked 46th and 160th across all of television that evening. Not sports, all TV. Suddenly that 21,000 attendance number makes uncomfortable sense, because it turns out those were basically the same people who would normally be watching from home. Unrivaled didn't grow the audience. They relocated it. They moved viewers from couches to seats and called it momentum. Nobody tuned in out of curiosity. Nobody showed up to see what the hype was about. The spectacle looked big, but the reach was small, and that's a dangerous combination.
Makes perfect sense now. Makes perfect sense now. You take a look at Unrivaled ratings. You take a look at year 2 for Unrivaled. Unrivaled, the golf league, taking viewership hit in second seasons. This is an article put out by Sports Media Watch. The two new leagues who generated headlines at the start of last year are off to slower starts in their sophomore campaigns. The women's 3v3 basketball league Unrivaled was averaging 103 viewers across TNT and True TV through week 3 of the season as of January 26th, down 44% from the first 3 weeks of last year's.
But Philadelphia wasn't the real problem. It was just the most visible symptom of something much bigger. When Sports Media Watch broke down Unrivaled's second season performance, the situation got even worse. Across TNT and True TV, the league is averaging just 103,000 viewers. That's a 44% drop from last season. Nearly half the audience gone in 1 year. And this happened after expansion. More teams. More games. A fourth night added to the schedule. Heavy marketing. National media appearances. A high-profile Philadelphia event designed to generate buzz. And after all that effort, all that spending, viewership didn't dip. It collapsed. That's not bad luck. That's a product problem. The breakdown by network makes it even clearer. Games airing on TNT and True TV together average around 145,000 viewers. But games exclusive to True TV? Just 64,000 viewers. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Every one of those new games they added this season lives exclusively on True TV. So they expanded the schedule, created more content, and almost no one showed up to watch it. Expansion didn't unlock demand. It exposed how thin the audience really is.
January 30th, Unrivaled takes over Philadelphia. Breeze vs. Phantom, 40,000 viewers in the 18 to 49 demographic. Rose vs. Lunar Owls, 40,000 viewers in the 18 to 49 demographic. Of all of the programs featured here, they are 146th and 160th in national rankings for television that night.
Now Unrivaled will point to football, and yes, football matters. Some games aired opposite the NFL and college football, and unsurprisingly, the two highest-rated broadcasts avoided football entirely. But that excuse falls apart fast when you look at Philadelphia. No football. No competition. A clear runway. Massive promotion. National headlines. Record attendance. And still, only 40,000 viewers per game in the key demo. When you get the perfect setup and still can't draw an audience, you can't blame the schedule anymore. At some point, you have to face the truth. People just aren't seeking this out. And that's why losing 44% of your audience in year 2 isn't a temporary setback. It's a flashing red light. Because leagues don't disappear overnight. They fade slowly. First the ratings drop. Then the networks start asking questions. Then the schedule gets pushed around. And eventually the games disappear behind a paywall. Because 103,000 viewers doesn't justify broadcast TV real estate on TNT and True TV. Those time slots could go to almost anything else and perform better. Networks don't operate on optimism. They operate on numbers.
Did I read that correctly? Unrivaled was averaging 103,000 viewers across TNT and True TV. That's nasty work. That's crazy bad. That's true.
Now look at the contrast, because this is where the story really gets interesting. While Unrivaled is shrinking, Caitlin Clark just stepped onto NBC as an NBA analyst and immediately became part of a product pulling millions of viewers. Sunday Night Basketball drew 4.5 million viewers for Lakers-Knicks, with peaks near 5 million. That's the most watched non-holiday Sunday night NBA game since 2002. The follow-up game averaged nearly 3 million. Combined, NBC pulled an average of 3.7 million viewers. These aren't decent numbers. These are elite numbers. The kind networks build entire strategies around. And it wasn't just the ratings. NBC executives didn't treat Clark like a one-night experiment. They praised her preparation, her understanding of the game, her ability to communicate clearly under massive pressure at Madison Square Garden. And more importantly, they booked her again. Another appearance already scheduled. Public comments about wanting more. That's not polite PR. That's genuine interest in building something long-term.
The paywall soon enough, folks. Soon enough, they're going to be behind a paywall, whether it's HBO Max, whether it's Paramount Plus, whether it's Netflix. We talked about that. Whatever it is, their days on TV are numbered. Game simulcasts on both TNT and True TV are averaging 135,000, while
here's why that matters beyond one broadcast. NBC isn't using Clark as a gimmick. They're integrating her because she adds value. She brings insight from someone who has lived the game at the highest level. And that creates a path forward that doesn't depend on struggling leagues or fragile business models. She's building a multi-lane career, playing media analysis, national exposure, on platforms that already work. Meanwhile, Unrivaled did everything you're supposed to do, and still couldn't hold an audience. The lesson here isn't complicated. There is a massive audience for high-level basketball. The NBA proves that every week. There is demand for smart analysis from elite players. And there is absolutely room for women in major sports media when the content connects. What there isn't demand for, clearly, is a niche 3-on-3 league that needs non-stop hype to survive. You can't market your way into relevance if people don't care. 40,000 viewers with zero competition tells you the ceiling, not the floor.
Positive news, shall we? Let's get into something a little bit more positive. Sunday Night Basketball, milestone for NBA on NBC Sports. Lakers-Knicks, 4.5 million viewers on NBC plus Telemundo, 5 million peak audience. Most watched regular season Sunday night NBA game since 2002, excludes Christmas Day. Sunday night NBA games.
So now the real questions start. What happens in year 3 if the audience keeps shrinking? What happens when novelty is gone and the average True TV game pulls 60,000 viewers? At what point do the economics stop making sense? Because TV networks don't keep programming alive out of loyalty. They need audiences. And once these deals expire, the likely outcome is obvious. A paywall, a streaming pivot, a quiet repositioning framed as strategy, while the casual audience disappears entirely. Compare that to what Caitlin Clark is building. Millions of viewers, proven platforms, real influence, long-term opportunity. No need to convince people to care about something they've already decided they don't want. So ask yourself this: was that Philadelphia night actually a success, or was it just an expensive illusion? Headlines fade fast. Ratings don't. And right now, the market is being very clear about what works, what doesn't, and where the future of women's basketball media is really headed.
All Sunday windows. Most watched game of the season across all networks, excludes tip-off and Christmas Day. Thunder Nuggets offer average 2.9 million viewers, NBC plus Telemundo. Sunday Night Basketball 2-game average, 3.7 million viewers. Let's get into what the executives over there at NBC had to say. NBC Sports leadership weighs in. Rick Cordella spoke positively about Clark's debut, noting that she did a good job